away a shower, bath stall makeover. We're kind of putting it out to the community to nominate a family or individual who may be deserving of it. We're asking people maybe consider nominating somebody, who has a physical handicap or issue, accessibility issue. So oftentimes we see clients who are getting older, they can't step into their tub, they need a walk-in shower. Anyone who's have any kind of unusual hardship throughout the year, could be somebody who's just has a really faulty shower tub and can't afford the replacement. So yeah, we're just asking the community to nominate.
That's great.
And do it all month long.
Welcome to the Keeping It Broad podcast, the show that explores the fascinating world of home improvement and renovation. Join hosts James Carlozzi, Tim Pesh, and Mark DeLucia as they share their expertise and insights on the latest trends, products, and their involvement in the industry and community. Let's get into this week's episode.
Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Broad. Mark here with South Broad Kitchen and Bath, South Broad Paint Home Center. Today we want to welcome a new guest, Anthony Boscarino with Total Water Restoration. Anthony and I met a few years ago. Anthony wears a lot of hats, so let me introduce him. And Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, hello, Mark. So Anthony Boscarino, like you said, wear a couple of hats. We own Total Water Restoration, like you mentioned. That's a water damage restoration business, and Boscarino Home Improvement, which is our kitchen and bathroom remodeling, and that's kind of how we first met.
Right.
We've sent a few customers to you guys to source all their materials. So it's been a good go since we met. Probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah. We chatted a few years back, and it worked out. We've talked a lot over the years. One hand washes the other, and you've been very generous with sending customers in, which we appreciate as always. And we try to do the same and refer you out whenever we can. You also do something else that we want to touch on. You're also a fireman, is that right?
I am a career full-time fireman as well.
That's
so
great.
That's
thank
the
you
other
for your
hat.
service.
Yes,
That's
3
great.
hats.
Yeah. You guys, we all have a different hat we wear. Anthony, being a fireman is a pretty important one, so we appreciate the being out there helping people out.
My pleasure. Enjoy it.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about the two different businesses you have. Total Water Restoration is geared more towards the insurance, right? Water damage type stuff.
So exactly, hit the nail on the head. Water damage, broken pipes, any kind of plumbing failures, appliance failures, toilet, tub, shower, sink backflows.
Right.
So anytime, leaky roof.
Yep.
Anytime water finds its way into your home or business where it shouldn't be, we come in and clean it, dry it.
Yeah.
And like you said, oftentimes this is something that your homeowner's insurance will help cover.
Yeah.
And we help throughout that process as well.
Yeah. Oftentimes, we've talked about this as well. Homeowners, a lot of times when this occurs, they're at their worst.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, it's been, whether it's an emergency, it's a backup, or something broke, so you're catching people at a really bad time. So they're not generally in the greatest of moods. How do you get through that?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Because I'm a fireman, so we truly see people at some of the worst times in their life, right? Or the worst time in their life. And then when I started doing the water damage stuff, it took me a little bit of almost taking a step back and understanding, like, all right, this is really bad for them. It may not seem really bad to me, or I may feel like, wow, they're overreacting compared to some of the scenarios I've seen people in. So in that regard, it was kind of a cakewalk for me dealing with people who have water in their basement compared to some of the things I've seen. The biggest thing is, talk people down, like, hey, take a breath. We're going to help you through this. And I understand it's stressful right now.
Yeah.
May see some of their belongings damaged, their home damaged, obviously. But I think it's really sitting people down, having them take a breath, and then just explaining to them the process.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is laying out a game plan and showing them the end result.
Sure.
And what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, these processes can take some time. I mean, the cleanup, right? The demolition, the cleanup, and the drying process, there's a period of time there. But then there's a whole other aspect to it, which can be the rebuild process,
Absolutely.
which that in itself is a time-consuming process. Not only do homeowners have to deal with the insurance companies, the adjusters, but then the people that do the work. So some of that work might fall in your lap.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a few parties involved in the whole process, right?
Sure.
And sometimes it's not the most expedited process, especially when you're dealing with insurance companies, large insurance companies. But everyone has their T's to cross and I's to dot. So it can be a process. It can take some time. Again, I think it's the biggest thing is setting an expectation, and showing the client step by step what the whole process is going to look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rebuild is definitely a big part of it. If there's anything in the dry out process that we have to remove or demo, somebody has to put all that stuff back together and make those homeowners whole.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Some of that work, we're not in the mitigation or water restoration like you are, but some of the rebuild work has fallen into our lap over the years. And there's always been the struggle that homeowners are going to get back exactly what they had, which in theory they will, but then there's so many ins and outs with the insurance business and how the adjusters write things and what the insurance companies will approve or won't approve. Oftentimes, the funds to put things back the way they were aren't necessarily enough to do that. And there's oftentimes the homeowner has to come out of pocket to do this. And that's another challenging conversation I've found to have with people. But, we always tell them, talk to your adjuster, talk to the insurance company and advocate for yourself, and hopefully, you can get better results.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's, again, there's a lot of parties involved, a lot of people to please, and, insurance companies don't love paying out money.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just everyone being realistic about what certain things cost, and especially skilled trades nowadays.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
So that can be a challenge on the backside of things, putting it back together. But
for sure.
I think I found if everyone's reasonable and has the conversations that need to be had, it usually ends up with a positive outcome.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure. If everybody's on the same page with what needs to be done, absolutely, I think the outcome can be positive. And it's just getting to that point.
Yeah, and sometimes explaining to homeowners, well, you had carpet for your flooring before.
Right.
Insurance isn't going to pay because you want Carrera marble put back in.
Right.
So.
And carpet's relatively
right.
loses value very quickly,
Yes,
right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's great. With transitioning into Boscarino Home Improvements, I know we've worked hand in hand on some stuff over the years. Certainly referred to some of clients and how do you find the home improvement business? How does that market look, and what do you expect to be for 2024?
It's still doing well. We're just coming out of the last year, coming out of the big COVID rush, and everyone was home and looking at their house and all the things they didn't like, or adding things they felt they needed, home offices, things like that. People were spending money more on their home if they weren't spending money on vacations and such. You guys experienced that.
Sure.
It was we kind of thought it was going to be, oh God, nobody's going to want you working in their home, and then the market just did just the opposite. It was very busy. So it definitely seems like it's quieted down, which is maybe a good thing, right? It was
probably regulated more than
gangbusters,
anything else, right?
Yep. Before it was just got to the point it was hard to keep up with all the phone calls, and
sure.
You couldn't effectively take on the amount of work that was coming your way. And then the shortage of skilled trade labor compounds that.
Yep.
But I say there's still a good market out there. Like you said, it kind of just leveled off to a fair level.
Yeah. I think if anything, maybe being that things kind of are more on a regulated outlook, I think it's probably weeded out some of the the people that are, or the jack of all trades, if you will, that say they can do a lot of things, as you well aware. We run into that often.
Yep.
So the guys that are good at what they do, that are skilled, will continue to stay busy or steady enough
Right.
through the next cycle. You started off as a painter by trade. Is that how you started?
I would say I was always kind of handy with everything, kind of going back to that jack of all, but master of none. I would say I could do anything in my own home, but doing it in someone else's, it's kind of a toss-up. But I started out, my specialty was actually tile installation. I started out with that. And then, naturally you're working in someone's home. Yeah, well, can you do this? Can you paint this? Can you patch that wall?
Right.
Do you know a plumber?
It always runs into something else. Yeah.
But yeah, I started out doing tile.
That's great. Well, you've grown, you've matured your business, and you've expanded into other fields, which is what a good business entrepreneur should be doing, in my opinion. So, congrats on all that. On top of it being a fireman and a dad and a husband and stuff, so life's busy and
it is.
It's
and,
crazy.
I'm sure I've vented to you quite a bit about
Sure.
that, but
Yeah.
we've grown. And I would say that to your compliment, you guys have been there alongside us quite a bit. I've personally leaned on you a little bit, vented to you, asked you questions. We've certainly sent a lot of customers over here to source their materials. We've had that conversation where it's like, hey, Mark, I don't have the time to sit here and try to pick out this or that with people.
Yeah, I always said that. Yep.
We pitch them over to you. You guys have the expert knowledge. Huge selection.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things I always explain to our clients is, there's going to be a drastic difference coming here, meeting you guys. Again, the knowledge you have on your materials and the selection you have compared to going to one of these big box stores.
Well, what you've done is exactly what I've spoken to other local contractors about. It says, use us as a resource. Let us be your showroom.
Right.
We'll never take food off of your plate.
Oh,
we'll be your source to provide product and supplies, whatever the case might be. We'll get it to the job site. Simply just let us know, hey, got Mr. and Mrs. Jones coming in. They want cabinets, they want flooring, whatever. And then there's always a way for us to work together on that stuff. And we appreciate it. Obviously, all the support over the years. But it's exactly what somebody like you should be doing because, why do you want to spend all that time doing that? And when you've got other people like us that'll do it for you.
Absolutely. And you can't effectively do it all.
No,
right?
not at all.
I'd say it's been a beautiful relationship, right? It's, I tell clients all the time, they'll deliver materials for us.
Yep.
And we coordinate together. So on the back end of things, you'll call me, hey, does so-and-so need this trim? How many pieces of this trim do they need? Where, if they got their tile at a big box store, good luck calling the big box store and telling them how much linear feet of trim you need to match your tile, right?
Exactly.
So it's been great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, once again, congratulations. Thank you for joining us here on the podcast, Keeping It Broad. This is Anthony Boscarino, Total Water Restorations and Boscarino Home Improvement. Anthony, let them know how they can reach out to you.
Yep. So we're on our website, totalwaterrestore.com. And plug the phone number in.
Sure, yeah.
860-949-9779. It's the phone number you hope you never need, but be happy you had.
And he's on social media, so you can catch him on Instagram and Facebook.
Absolutely.
Again, Mark with South Broad Kitchen and Bath, South Broad Paint and Home Center. Thanks again for checking out our podcast and this video, and have a great day, everyone.